Why should we have pets? Pets are great friends. They are quite unassuming and non judgmental and allow us to be ourselves. Pets boost our physical and psychological well being. They inspire us to be disciplined, to stay fit and active, and be happy for no reason. There are specially trained dogs called service dogs or helper dogs that help the elderly and physically challenged individuals. Pets are a very vital part of our society. As I told you already, pets are very important for our physical and psychological well being. Some people treat their pets with great care and concern. In fact, they lavish their time and money upon them. Here is how some people treat their loving pets. Here are some new words for you emerging related to pets. Pet spa. Pet spa is a place where medicinal baths are provided for pets. Next is pet parenting or pet parent. Pet parent refers to the new age owners of the pets who treat pets no less their children. The working pet parents need some place and person for sheltering and caring for their pets, right? Here is the word for it: pet daycare. And the person who takes care of the pets in the absence of their pet parent is known as pet sitter. Compare it with babysitter. The act of taking care of the pets in the absence of pet parents is called pet sitting. Panda hugging is yet another new term emerging. You know what it means? Pandas love being cuddled. In order to pamper them with utmost care, a new profession has come into being. Well, that's precisely how we show our love to animals and in turn spoil them with excessive attention, don't we? Here is a story of a woman and her most pampered dog and how she turns it into a messy bun of an object. James Alfred White, also known as James Herriot, which was his pen name or pseudonym, was a famous British veterinary surgeon, author, and a multifaceted personality. He has written many books, some of them are exclusively meant for children. He's, he is a very famous British icon, and his books have been published in series and omnibus collections. And his famous surgery at 23 Kirkgate, Thirsk, Yorkshire, England, is still a famous tourist destination. Let's look at the central characters of this story now. First and foremost, Mrs. Pumphrey, a woman who was superfluously rich but idle. Secondly, Tricky, her prized possession, an overfed, obese dog. Third, Mr. Harriet, a young, smart, convincing veterinary surgeon who was remarkably compassionate and caring. We will discuss the character sketch of each of these at the end of the story. I was really worried about Tricky this time. I had pulled up my car when I saw him in the street with his mistress, and I was shocked at his appearance. He had become hugely fat, like a bloated sausage with a leg at each corner. His eyes, bloodshot and rheumy, stared straight ahead, and his tongue lolled from his jaws. Mrs. Pumphrey hastened to explain. He was so listless, Mr. Harriet. He seemed to have no energy. I thought he must be suffering from malnutrition, so I've been giving him some little extras between meals to build him up. Some malt and cod liver oil and a bowl of Horlicks at night to make him sleep. Nothing much, really. And did you cut down on the sweet things as I told you? Oh, I did for a bit, But he seemed to be so weak, I had to relent. He does love ice cream cakes and chocolates too. I can't bear to refuse him. I looked down again at the little dog. That was the trouble. Tricky's only fault was greed. He had never been known to refuse food. He would tackle a meal at any hour of the day or night. And I wondered about all the things Mrs. Pumphrey hadn't mentioned. Are you giving him plenty of exercise? Well, he has his little walks with me, as you can see. But Hodgkin, the gardener, has been down with lumbago, so there has been no ring throwing lately. I tried to sound severe. Now I really mean this. If you don't cut his food right down and give him more exercise, he's going to be really ill. You must harden your heart and keep him on a very strict diet. Mrs. Pumphrey wrung her hand. Oh, I will, Mr. Harriet, I'm sure you're right. But it's so difficult, so very difficult. She set off, head down, along the road, as if determined to put the new regime into practice immediately. I watched their progress with growing concern. Tricky was tottering along his little tweed coat. He had a whole wardrobe of these coats, for the cold weather and a raincoat for the wet days. He struggled on, drooping in his harness. I thought it wouldn't be long before I heard from Mrs. Pumphrey. The expected call came within a few days. Mrs. Pumphrey was distraught. Tricky would eat nothing, refused even his favorite dishes, and besides, he had bouts of vomiting. He spent all his time lying on a rug, panting. Didn't want to go for walks, didn't want to do anything. I made my plans in advance. The only way was to get Tricky out of the house for a period. I suggested that he be hospitalized for about a fortnight to be kept under observation. The poor lady almost swooned. She was sure he would pine and die if he did not see her every day. But I took a firm line. Tricky was very ill, and this was the only way to save him. In fact, I thought it best to take him without delay. Followed by Mrs. Pumphrey's wailings, I marched out to the car carrying the little dog wrapped in a blanket. The entire staff was roused and maids rushed in and out, bringing his day bed, his night bed, favorite cushions, toys, and rubber rings, breakfast bowl, lunch bowl, supper bowl, and what not. Realizing that my car would never hold all the stuff, I started to drive away. As I moved off, Mrs. Pumphrey, with a despairing cry, threw an armful of little coats through the window. I looked in the mirror before I turned the corner to drive. Everybody was in tears. Out on the road, I glanced down at the pathetic little animal gasping on the seat of my side. I patted the head and Tricky made a brave effort to wag his tail. Oh, old lad, I said, you haven't a kick in you, but I think I know a cure for you. Here is a list of words for you to take note of. The story begins with Dr. Harriet's worrying about the increasing risk in Tricky's health as it was becoming obese and unhealthy, resembling a bloated sausage. Mrs. Pumphrey, its mistress, was too concerned that Tricky was listless. So, she was feeding him with everything starting from cod liver oil to Horlicks to malt to what not. Her diet plan was so crazy and verging onto an unhealthy one. Tricky, for his part, was an over-ambitious dog who did not know to refuse anything. Adding fuel to fire was his lack of exercise, which had fattened him up beyond acceptable limits. The doctor tried warning Mrs. Pumphrey several times that lack of exercise and excessive feeding would result in a very severe condition. It so happened that Tricky had fallen sick with bouts of vomiting. The vet forcefully takes him out into his custody amidst Mrs. Pumphrey's wailings. He knew for certain Tricky could be saved only if he could come out of his toxic eating habits. Now let's discuss the comprehension questions. Question number 1. Why is Mrs. Pumphrey worried about Tricky? Mrs. Pumphrey was initially worried that Tricky was listless and malnourished. She was so worried and distraught that Tricky wouldn't eat anything after that. He was refusing even his favorite dishes and he had bouts of vomiting. And he was inactive and refused to move out of his rug. This made Mrs. Pumphrey terribly worried about her pet dog, Tricky. Question number 2. What does she do to help him? Is she wise in that? Initially, Mrs. Pumphrey thought that Tricky was malnourished, so she was feeding him with supplements like Horlicks and cod liver oil and so on. When he refused to eat anything, Mrs. Pumphrey called up the vet to attend to Tricky. Though initially she was unwise, later on, her call to the vet was a really wise decision. Question number 3. Who was referred here as I in the story? I refers to James Herriot, the vet and the narrator of the story.